Hi, welcome to the next edition of talking about upgrading your starter decks. Today we're going to talking about starter deck 24. Actually, 20, 24. Yeah, Bonney. So this is going to be an exciting deck. It's not going to be as strong as your finalist product because keep in mind a lot of the best cards and the deck actually are quite expensive. Even like one drop Bonney is like $5 a piece. So of course we can't fit it in our budget constraints because we are targeting only $30. So this is not meant to be push you all the way to the finalized product, but this $30 investment adjacent with the deck will put you in a place where you can compete probably in an LGS. So let's get into the actual decks. The starting deck based off of the combined list from the One Piece battle. I think it was Bonney versus Yamato. And so we're starting off with that deck list, and then we're upgrading the numbers and the cards to something better. So let's dive in. So starting out, this is the beginning list. 4 Law and Beppo, 4 copies of Kid and Killer. We're not going to change these at all. We're playing 4 copies of Capone, 4 copies of Apu. Again, these cards are not changing. We're also not changing the Hawkins. We'll be adjusting the Oroge. We're going to be cutting the Carbaroos, and we're going to be keeping the X-Drake, cutting the Luffy, and that's pretty much what we're our main targets right out of the gate. We're going to adjust our Barts as well. So if you like this kind of content, make sure you smash that like button and subscribe. Let's dive in. So first thing first, we're going to cut 2 of our Corros for 2 copies of Pedro. This deck card is seeing play actively in Bonney as a 2 of, and it's doing really well and based on the current meta. So I recommend picking up 2 of these. They're like 25 cents a piece, and you're going to be happy with that result. So pretty good swap. Let's get into the next card. So we're going to cut the Luffy's and up 4 copies of Carrot. Now, this is $9.50 for a playset. Recommend doing it, except this is at the time of recording. It might go up since I'm pushing this series on you and you're purchasing them. So it might go up, but you never know. Carrot does see play in the finalized Bonney product, so this is a work towards actually working towards the finalized product. So I do recommend doing that. So pretty solid, basically $9.50 for a playset. You're gonna probably want them anyways. So let's get to the next card. So we're gonna cut our 4 copies of Carbaroo for 4 kids. That's about $13.60 for a playset. This is basically most of our budget, a little less than half. So you're not going to complain about it. It's a pretty solid investment, especially since most of Bonney decks play 3 to 4 kids. And I do recommend 2 things that that you could do to this deck to increase it, but we're going to get into that a little bit later, and to make kid better, of course. Next thing is we're going to cut the last 2 copies of Carbaroo for 2 Bonnies. Now this card doesn't necessarily play in all versions, but it's still good enough at $1.50 to make this deck a lot better, right? So it's not as good as Cavendish, but you're going to be happy you have this card in your deck. It's a pretty solid card. It's a 1K counter versus a no K counter. You're going to be happy with that as well. Let's go and get into the next upgrades. So we're going to cut 1 of our orgs for 1 Rosante. Now, I do recommend you picking up 4 copies of Rosante and cutting 3 additional Barts. Or you cut 1 more of him and 2 Barts. However you want to do it. I do recommend picking up the full playset Rosante if you could afford it. But he does not fit in our $30 budget, because, well, a lot of our money went to Carrot, which is a better card. And so I do recommend picking up, if you could afford it, the extra $7.50 for additional copies of Rosante. And that is our total, is $29.10 upgrades. If you want to add an additional $30, go ahead and pick up a full playset of Hody Jones. A lot like Yamato, this deck does gain a lot of advantage from having 4 copies of Hody Jones. If you have him in your play, you could definitely go ahead and trim back on some Barts, probably, or something like that. And you'd be quite happy with the actual payoff here. It's a really good card. It sees play, I think, on almost all Bonnies as a 4 of, and it sees play in Yamato as a 4 of. So you can't really be upset if you want to pay $30 for a full play set of this. So let me know in the comment section what I missed in this deck. What upgrades would you recommend that I didn't? If it was cheap enough to fit into the $30 constraint, that may have been better what I recommended. Like $3 could have went further if I didn't play Bonney and played something else. Let me know in the comment section. And if you want, make sure you smash that like button, subscribe, share this video if you like it. Because like I said, I really want to make sure that this is a series that people want. And I'll talk to you guys next time.